September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk, conservative thought leader, was assassinated at a college campus in Utah. His death revealed more than just political division. It exposed the darkest side of social media. Today, I'm going to break down 5 dangerous truths I noticed during and after this tragedy. And I'll show you why his death is more than news. It's a warning about what we allow social media to become. What's going on, y'all, man? Welcome back to the Broken Traditions Podcast with your host, LaRon Gaskins, aka Big Ellie.
They call me Big Ellie.
On this week's episode, we're going to speak about how the Charlie Kirk assassination exposed the dangers of social media. Before we get into that, I want to give my condolences to Charlie Kirk's family, to Charlie Kirk loved ones, the people that were close to Charlie Kirk. This is really a tragedy. This is a tragedy. This is something, I would not expect to see in 2025. This is pretty damning to see in real time. So I want to give my condolences to his family before we start anything. And here on Broken Traditions, we speak about the overconsumption of the cell phone, the overconsumption of social media. And I call it the digital incarceration. Ironically, the cell phone is called a cell. And when you incarcerate it, you are locked in the cell. And I'm a person who want to help you break away from being locked in to the digital incarceration. And if you find yourself too much time on the phone, you feel like you use the phone too much, if the phone is taken away from your day-to-day life, I would suggest downloading my free workbook, The Digital Release. I'll leave a link to it in the pinned comments if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll leave a link to it in the show notes if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, it would be linked into the show notes. And I also want to say this before we get into the podcast episode. I'm not here to praise or bash Charlie Kirk. I'm here to give you guys examples and warnings of what have been going on social media, how this is exposing the moments of social media. So you clicked on this video thinking that it's going to be about Charlie Kirk. It's not, right? I want to use Charlie Kirk as an example of why we need to get our grips when it comes to social media, why we need to have control when it comes to social media. Now, you may not know who Charlie Kirk is. So let me give you a backstory on who Charlie Kirk is. Charlie Kirk is the founder of a organization called Turning Point USA. When he was 18 years old. Charlie Kirk started this organization to reach out to high school students and reach out to people at college campuses to convince them to turn conservative or turn Republican. He felt like those political values of being conservative would help these young people. So he created an organization to help those people. And I remember one time, my only time even coming close to Turning Point USA was at a Juneteenth event in Metro Atlanta. That's how far they were going into making sure that they have these conversations with people. So it wasn't Charlie Kirk personally. It was somebody who, I guess, worked with the organization, but they had a table or a tent at a Juneteenth event. And me being curious as I am, I was like, let me go over here and see what's going on, because you guys are here in dangerous waters, I would say, at a Juneteenth event, and how, more than not, Black people are liberal leaning, right? Than they are conservative. And for you to come here at a Juneteenth event, that means that you really believe your message and you want to get your message out there. So I went to the table, and I would say the people who were working the table, they really did believe into the conservative values, but I would say their message was not convincing to someone like me, who was an independent, to lean more right. Or if somebody was a liberal, a Black liberal who went to the table, their messages was not convincing, right? So if they want to be at events like that, they need to work on their messaging, especially, the uphill battle that it is to convince black people to become conservative. But this video is not about that. It was just my experience with Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk went to college campuses and had debates and had speeches, a place where a lot of thought and a lot of ideas and opinions are challenged, right? That's what it usually was, right? Remember back in the days when Malcolm X went to Berkeley College and had his thoughts and opinions challenged, or he challenged other people's thoughts and opinions at debates. So that is something that he did. And, Charlie Kirk wasn't the only one. Sometimes you see somebody like, I think it was Steve Crowder. He does the same things. Like, so you do see people in different political spaces, especially conservative political spaces, have these kind of moments of challenging thoughts at colleges, right? So Charlie Kirk was at a college campus in Utah, and he was shot in the neck. And that's where we're going to start with this conversation, the dangers of social media. I want to start with the need to share vulnerable moments. Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck at his event. Instead of helping or even pausing or even just being taken back, someone filmed the moment on their phone. And when it comes to social media, what do you think that person did immediately? Uploaded it within minutes. That moment of Charlie Kirk's vulnerable moment of him literally being shot, fighting for his life, is uploaded in minutes. That is the grasp that social media have on us, because a man's final moments becomes viral content. And it's not healthy for the viewer to see this or to doom scroll this or to constantly overconsume this kind of content. It's not healthy. And exposure to violent content can become normalized, desensitizing people to brutality. And I remember this for myself when I was having a moment, right? When I was having a moment when the death of George Floyd happened. And I'm on social media and I can't stop looking at this man's final moments. I can't stop looking at it. I can't stop looking at content circling it. I couldn't stop it. And I had to literally call my manager at my job and take days off of work because it was too much on me and I couldn't focus on work. Because I kept focusing on the death of George Floyd. But this is where we at. We're at the space of uploading the content, uploading the information as quick as possible, to be the person to say that I uploaded this video, to get that authority of saying that I did this. When I first saw the video of Charlie Kirk, right, him getting shot in the neck, and I'm not even going to explain it, and I'm not even going to suggest you guys look up the video. It is gruesome. But when I first saw it, my thought wasn't the algorithm. My thought was for his family, his wife, his children, his parents, his friends. How this moment of somebody that they love is being shot in the neck for the world to see. And that the worst moment of his life, we are losing our humanity because of social media make us believe being first with a video is more valuable than compassion. We no longer see a human in crisis. We see a clip. We see a like. We see a view. We see engagement. We see impressions. We see our notifications having nothing but 99s going across and just having that dopamine hit. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for compassion no more. And that brings to the next point that I want to talk about, which is Charlie Kirk assassination, how it exposes the dangers of social media. The need to be first, not right. After Charlie Kirk got shot, and he's fighting for his life, and unfortunately he lost his life, I noticed something else. I noticed creators who never spoke about Charlie Kirk suddenly jumped on this story in real time. They had to be first. They had to feed the algorithm. They had to feed the beast. And why they did this? Because they know the algorithm rewards being first, not being accurate, just being first. I did a video about this on my members only, right? I call Charlie Kirk's assassination a digital gold rush. People rushed to create content about what happened in Charlie Kirk. You see channels have nothing to do with Charlie Kirk speaking about Charlie Kirk. You have channels have nothing to do with political commentary speaking about Charlie Kirk. People saw something happen and had to prop up their phone or hop into their studio, hop into their workspace. As I call this my my battle station. People hopped into their battle station and went live. Let me go live. Let me feed the algorithm because something is going on right now. And that need to feed the algorithm, that need to be first, is a problem when it comes to content creation. It is something that's rarely spoken about when it comes to content creation. And this quote right here is from Wired. As influencers are becoming more vocal about burnout, stress, and dopamine addiction, a new therapy service is launching to cater to their unique career struggles. These are conversations I had with content creators because, as a content creator, other content creators. And shout out to this Bohemian Gal Rogan, how we are now co-workers, right? We are co-workers in the space of content creation. And you have conversations with people in real life. And I spoke to people and they told me how a need to be first when it comes to content creation is wrecking their lives, whether it's their marriages or relationships, whether it's putting strain on their health, whether it's pulling them away from family, whether it's pulling them away from family events, whether it's pulling them away from, say little Johnny got a basketball game or little Johnny got a baseball game, but say this happened with Charlie Kirk, which one are you going to choose? The beast of the algorithm? Or are you going to choose little Johnny's baseball game? Or you're going to look at your wife and say, or you look at your husband and say, hey, you got this. I'm going to just go hop on this live and speak about Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. Or whatever else happened. I'm going to go speak about this even though I have obligations in real life to my family. I've spoken to people who had issues with their family because of social media. I have people spoken about damn near getting a divorce or getting a divorce because of they need to keep feeding the beast of social media. Not to mention, now I'm saying that there's a whole new therapy service that is catered to social media content creators' unique struggles. The dopamine addiction, the burnout, the stress, the need to be in front of this camera and talk to you guys. And where we at with it right now is clicks over care. Create fast, ignore what damage is being done. The next thing I want to talk about, the harm that I realized with this Charlie Kirk tragedy, is the groupthink mentality. As soon the news broke that Charlie Kirk got shot, the comment sections became an all-out war. On one side, people were literally ready to take up arms in his name. On the other, people saying he got what he deserved. There is no nuance no more. There is no conversation. There's no middle ground. It's just groupthink. It's just groupthink. It was us versus them mentality. And I see it being a problem in so many different avenues. There was no nuance in conversations. And I remember speaking to somebody who got into the toxic part of red pill content. And he had that us versus them mentality. And this man was married, and he said, damn, me being into the toxic part of this content, I almost lost my wife. And he said, if I didn't dial it back, I'll be miserable right now. Trust me, I think the nuance and the conversations that we used to have, the dialect we used to have, that we could sit down and have conversations, is something that's needed. Not the social media groupthink, not the social media us versus them. I spoke to Kofa the other day, and I'll use Kofa's name because he don't mind me using his name in the conversations we have. And he said, yo, remember back in the days, we used to watch Oprah, and she would have a Klans member on there?
You just said, I don't sit with monkeys. You think because she's black, because I'm black, we're monkeys? Is that?
That's a proven fact.
That's a proven fact?
Remember back in the days, we'll watch, I don't know, Donahue, and he'll have like Louis Farrakhan on there? How we could have a difference of opinion, but still be able to speak to each other and could walk away from that conversation. We are long gone from those days. Sometimes I may agree with Charlie Kirk. Most times I don't agree with Charlie Kirk, right? I can say this. A man has a right to his opinion. The way people instantly reduce his life to us versus them shows how dangerous social media has become. It breeds division, not dialogue. When nuances dies, divisions wins. And I want to quote Royce White from Please Call Me Crazy podcast. He always says, you put black versus white, they walk away with the green. The next part I want to speak about is the lack of empathy and compassion. Now that Charlie Kirk passed away, people are celebrating his death, justifying it, making jokes about a man being shot in the neck. And Charlie Kirk is not the first. And unfortunately, the stranglehold that social media have on us, he's not the last. Just recently, people mock Hulk Hogan's death because Hulk Hogan made racist remarks. He said the N-word, so people mock the fact that he died. Another person, death that was mocked, was Kevin Samuels. Some people celebrated Kevin Samuels because they didn't like his critique of women. Another death that is being mocked and celebrated years after he died, and I'll believe that will continue to keep happening, is George Floyd. George Floyd death. After George Floyd became a political pawn, people who are on the opposite side of that political aisle celebrate George Floyd's death. It's so many things that I see with George Floyd death is sickening. Or George Floyd face, name, image, and likeness is sickening. But this is where we at. We don't have compassion no more. We don't have empathy no more when someone loses their life. And why is that? Because social media gives people the comfort of cruelty. You can say anything you want to somebody behind the screen and never face consequences. When we lose compassion, content becomes a weapon. And the last thing, the fifth thing I want to speak about, when tragedy becomes currency. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about when the tragedy becomes a currency. Charlie Kirk's assassination. People ate off of it. Just like people ate off the death of George Floyd. People ate off of it. The videos came out, the live streams came up, the views climbed, the comments poured in, and behind the scenes, platforms and advertisers profited. They profited off of it. Charlie Kirk's death wasn't just news. It was monetized. It was packaged, sold. People made money every time that clip of his shooting got shared. And that right there should disturb us all. We should all feel a certain way about knowing that this man's death is monetized. Profit from pain. This is how a tragedy become a content strategy. Charlie Kirk's death is tragic. But what's even more tragic is how predictable our social media response was. We filmed his final moment. We rushed to break the story. We picked sides, we celebrated, and then we monetized it. This is the cost of digital incarceration, the culture that values content over compassion. If you found value in this video, please share this video. Also, if you want to break free from that cycle, start with yourself. Control what you consume, and more importantly, control what you create. Like I said, in the pinned comments or in the show notes, you could download the digital release, my 7-day workbook, and learn how to reclaim your time, your freedom, and your focus. Don't let tragedy become your entertainment. Don't just scroll, wake up.